stir it up and do things our way. So if you wanna move, get out of our way.
Hey, hey.
Happy Monday.
Yay.
Orange County Monday.
That's right. That's right. You know what's cool about this season? It really hasn't given us a slow episode. I mean, there's been a lot of drama.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's like a steady dose of conflict. I like that because often when you have a season like this, say on like Beverly Hills, it would be like the last 2 episodes and you're waiting all season and everything else is like manicures and luncheons. This has just been conflict from nonstop from the beginning.
It's like an IV drip that's turned up to like the medium pace of like the IV drip, you know what I mean? And then occasionally you get an extra shot and you're like, oh, here's some more. And like, yeah, this evening was like an extra shot. However, it wasn't a Shannon or Alexis shot. It was a Tamara and Ryan shot. That was interesting. Yeah. Well, we should get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, actually, it's funny that this is how I knew this was going to be a good episode. They open with the flash forward, flashback, like they do at the beginning of a season, 8 hours later. Very ominous. I love that. That's how I know friendships are about to die. We were so happy that day. Little did we know.
We didn't know what was upon us. Oh, well, I mean, they started by like rehashing the dinner at Jen's. You know, I will say this, at least like a lot of these, I mean, they have to put these people together. So a lot of times it's a lot of like trips together and then dinners together. But yeah, well, I mean, that's the way people to get together, honestly, unless like it wouldn't be an interesting show. We'd be watching The Circle if it was just people talking online all the time. You know, it would be a text and stuff like that.
Everyone would be texting each other. They have to force them to like get together.
Exactly. They rehashed the dinner at Jen's. It was Tamra and Emily and who else? I didn't even write it down.
Tamara, Emily, and Gina.
And Gina. Yeah. And they rehash that, which I don't even care to rehash now. So I'm just like,
we'll get the rehash even later at the like it circles back around towards the end.
Yeah. But then it's also intercut with Terry's pre-op for his nose job.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny.
Yeah, like I'm glad he's getting it. You know, he had like a facelift and stuff in recent years. And yeah, you can tell his eyes are smaller, his cheeks are lifted. But the one thing he had left but my mom's a fan of Botch, so she watches that and she'd be like, the one thing he needed to fix was his nose, and he's a plastic surgeon. So he's saying it's like a septum issue, you know?
Yeah.
Either way, he needed it. It was like,
I mean, it sounds like he was being like half truthful though. Like, well, like we're fixing the septum and I'm gonna fix my nose too. So it's like, yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I like a nose with character, but that's a lot of character on that nose, I will say.
Yeah. It was a bit much.
Well, and your nose doesn't stop growing unless you actually so your nose continues to grow. So it's like you could have like a moderately large nose, and then as you like reach your like 60s and 70s, it can be exponentially larger. So it's like, okay.
And I wonder if he'll invite us in to help him with the consultations. And also because his chin is kind of parallels his nose. It's a very prominent pointy chin, so something needed to soften there.
Yeah. Did
you catch that hot mic moment though?
Oh yeah. She Heather not appreciating being quote unquote admonished on camera.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really think, at least from my perspective, because I had to rewatch it. I was like, I didn't feel like he was really admonishing her the way that I heard it. I mean, granted, I'm not in their marriage, so I'm not like triggered by
Yeah.
certain things, but I didn't think it was really admonishing. Was it just, what was he admonishing her for? Her process of like processing conflict with
Oh,
people?
yeah. I think it's because okay, now it just clicked why she was because I was like, "What?" It's just the funny thing was he was like, Paul Nassif is going to be so mad I didn't pick him." And I'm like, "Your guys bickering in this scene reminds me of Adrian and Paul." Like but I guess, and this is where she's probably a little tightly wound, like the women say, he was admitting like you're difficult to apologize to, which is
Mhm.
her whole thing this season. No, I'm not hard on the other women. And her husband just said it takes like it feeds it validates what Katie said.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it validates what Katie said, it validates what Gina says, like, it even validates what Emily says later on of
Mm,
but I don't think but I even feel like the way that Terry put it was kind of nice and kind of, at least for me as a viewer and a Heather fan, but not like a diehard Heather fan, was like, "Oh,
mhm.
okay, well, I get that because we all kind of do process conflict in different ways or like need to like." He was like, "You need to talk it out once, twice, 3 times." I mean, he's been with her for like what, 20, 30 years. Like,
Yeah.
he knows the deal. He knows how many times he has to apologize and like listen to her talk. And these women have only known her at the most like a decade. So, yeah, I don't know, but that's a marriage thing. And you and I are not
They
experts on marriage. So
only plastic surgery, only his profession, her homes.
right.
No, that's I think we need to find some spouses who could help us, turn these delusions into a reality.
We've had a couple of our diehard listeners lately celebrating anniversaries I've seen on Twitter. And so
Mm.
maybe they could help us or at least give us tips because they've been married like 20 plus years. I'm like, I don't know. Anyway,
Um,
but yeah, but that was a funny hot mic moment. I was like, okay. And then they tried to play it off, and I was like, "Oh, girl, no, we got it." And they're like,
yeah.
"You don't think that they're not going to use that?" Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
hello.
that was a choice by the producers, and they went,
Mhm.
yeah. It was innocent, though. I mean, it was 2 couples it wasn't like one of those, like, "I told you the body's in the basement. Why did you bring them down there?" It was like
Right. I
mhm,
mean, it was like a lighthearted hot mic moment. Also, I appreciate you just saying that was a choice by the producers because a lot of times, especially people in the comments or on social media will say, "Oh, the editors did this, the editors did that." As an editor myself, um, we can only do so much. And like,
mhm,
and granted, like, and Sheena on Pump Rules had got like there was an editor fired because an editor did bad stuff. But there's also story editors and there's producers. And those are the people who have the final cuts over what they say happens
mm,
with the show. So an editor can put together like a scene and can put together an episode, but eventually the story editors and the producers are the ones who have the final say in
mm,
something. And they're the ones who also, and a lot of times it's the story editor who says, "We're going to put this, and this together." And the editor physically does that and does
mhm,
tweaks and maybe puts stuff. And then the producers are the ones and the directors are the ones who say, "Okay, this is how it's going to go." Like, yes, we approve this cut. We approve that. We did that. The network even comes back and says, "Okay, we approve that." Actually, then it goes to the studio production company, and then it goes to the network for
mm.
approval. So it's not like these things just like slip by and it's just like, "Oh, we just let, these editors do whatever they want to." Like,
Yeah.
no, these go through, like, there are many people that have signed off on these quote unquote shady editor stuff things. So I just I just want to at least clarify it for a bunch of people that like an editor could like say like, "Okay, yeah," but that's not, it goes through many levels. An editor is not a powerful position in
Yeah,
television in
yeah.
that sense.
They don't have the final say in what we see.
Mm-mm, no, no. But anyway,
We got to I made some notes because I'm very torn about Ryan.
Yeah.
I found it fascinating that him and Jen are shopping, and she reveals he has everything tailored.
Mm-hmm.
T-shirts, underwear.
Underwear. That's the note that I made. I was like, he tailors his undies? What?
That's a
Does
bit like the t-shirt thing. I was like, oh, mental no. I always wonder sometimes, how do people always find yeah.
I mean, I wish I had the money to like buy stuff to like get it tailored all the time. I mean,
It's
clothes aren't made the way that they were made before. And so
yeah,
yeah, it makes things look better. But like your underwear, like, dude,
it's a bit douchey.
it's
Like,
very it's very douchey. And there's a part of me that goes like, is this kind of like the guy who like buys the Magnum condoms who's like, oh, I have to buy like really big underwear and then I have to get them, just for the package, the bulge
oh.
part, and I have to get them tailored down for everything else. That literally just hit me. I was like, is that why you get some tailored? I was like, I don't know. And I don't even want
Yeah.
to.
I was is that it kind of reminded that kind of like level of needless doucher. It kind of reminded me of Slade because we talk about Jen's like a very early housewife, and like in that scene, like I like him so far. I know we're taking a dark turn later on, but it's like part of me is like, oh, he's kind of like early Mauricio, a little dumb, a little happy-go-lucky. He doesn't, but then the other part also reminds me of the New Jersey house husbands.
Yeah. I mean, and I've said it before, I like a messy house husband. So I kind of like it when, like, I kind of liked this episode with Ryan and Eddie fighting. Like, I kind of liked it, I liked, like Matt and Shane there at dinner. Like, Shane didn't do much, Matt didn't do much, but Matt was like, tell me a little bit more about these people. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes, Matt, learn about this stuff, learn about it. Well, what turned me off with Ryan, what made me kind of go like, okay, because I mean, we've already talked about it, how we know that there's a dark turn, but it feels like Ryan's been having a bit of a redemption season from like what we'd been hearing and what we felt last season, and especially his fashion last season. But when he started saying that, I was like, what does he mean by Eddie's not a dude? Because it seemed like very, to me, like kind of like homophobic in a way. And I was like, what does that mean? And then, because and like patriarchal and stuff, like I was like, what is this whole like Eddie's not a dude type of thing? Like, what does he mean by that? And then today, this morning, I saw on Twitter, and I sent it to you, that it's on Twitter, Foxy Feline 99. She put up a thing called about Eddie's origin story really needs to be revisited. And it's about the gay rumors that Vicky had spread years ago and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, and I didn't even know all of them then. Like, I didn't really pay attention, to be honest with you, because I was like, I really don't give a shit what people do in their bedroom. I don't care what kind of like marriage you've decided to have, if you decide to have a lavender marriage or not. But it did bother me that Ryan said that, like that Ryan said that he's not a dude, that then Ryan called him in a throwaway moment, called him a clown and then a bitch. And then of course, then Tamra's then calling Ryan a little bitch later on.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was turned off by both of them, this whole thing.
It is funny that Ryan was going after Eddie for that, considering we just learned he has everything tailored.
And he wears the tightest jeans. The tight. I'm
with
sorry.
The most like flamboyantly printed shirts and like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, yeah. It's not.
And I
like,
want to be like, go off, King. Wear whatever. Like, look, I'm all for like, I may not like your fashion, but as long as you are doing it chest out, full on loving it, go for it. Go for it. Doesn't have to be my style, but let's not like, yeah, exactly. People in glass houses should throw stones. Like,
he was living single in an immaculate McMansion. He has everything tailored to the nines. I mean, it's not like he's out there in street fights wrestling alligator,
He's not wearing like designer camo right now. Like,
yeah. So I don't know where that. I mean, I get where it came from and why they're going at each other, but it was like that wasn't the best level. I mean, he actually could have gone after. Oh, he mentions it later. He's Eddie is supported by Tamra,
Yes. Yeah.
which is an easier leveling to go for.
Exactly. So like
Um,
let's not call why don't we not just call anybody a little bitch? You can call him a big bitch. Let's call him a big bitch. Like, why are
yeah,
you being a big bitch?
he actually called Eddie a baby bitch.
Baby bitch. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh, what else?
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, well, and then Tamara's. I guess would have been Tamara's favorite moment this episode. She really was going after a lot of people, but
Oh God.
the Shannon butt dial, the lawsuit released.
Well, right before that, she said something about like that she always comes for people because they come for her. And I was like, but you come for them first,
Mm-hmm.
usually. Like I was like, but also like what is this mob wives? Like, what are you in the mob that like this is this gang war housewives gang warfare? Because that's
Yeah.
what it always seems like with Tamara. And yeah, like the lawsuit being dropped, the whole we'll go back to like you talk. Great.
Well, if you guys missed it this episode, People magazine drops that John Janssen officially filed the lawsuit against Shannon that day. And then, of course, Tamara, who's relishing this news.
Yes, she is. She's
She's
saying everything she says is was with a smirk and a smile of like, oh,
mm.
Shannon's must be devastated.
Yeah, so she calls and that made so she called Shannon. Shannon didn't pick up, but now Tamara's on the top of her call list with Shannon's phone in her pocket. And
Uh-huh.
Shannon butt dialed her back in the middle of her meltdown. So wait.
And,
Before we get into it,
mhm.
can I read the transcript of what
Please,
Shannon said? Because it was
please.
muffled. There were captions. I had to watch 5 times.
Mhm.
Shannon, in her meltdown that she doesn't know Tamara's listening to. I need to go. I need us to talk and strategize this and figure it out. Alexis is paying for her publicist, their publicist, I'm sure. My emotional level right now is fucking panicking, and I'm so overwhelmed and I'm so fucking tired.
And then she says, hello. And then Tamara hangs up on her. And that's what I have a problem with. Like, I am just like, it's like Tamara has no balls. She has no balls. She has no cojones, and she is all bark and no bite. She is willing to go after everybody, but when the fight comes to her, no, absolutely not. Like, so it's like, oh, hello. And the thing is that Shannon knows that she butt dialed her because her name would be Tamara Barney's name would be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she would be able to see that. I just go, and then Tamara has the gall to then call Heather and tell Heather that she butt dialed her and what she said. And then at the dinner, tell everybody that Shannon butt dialed her. Did you call Heather? Did you call Shannon back and say, hey, you butt dialed me and this is all? I don't think you did.
Yeah. She
I mean,
really
that's a
enjoyed
bitch.
that.
That's an Ursula moment right there. That is an Ursula moment. These poor unfortunate souls. There it
Yeah.
is. Oh my gosh. You are just a little sea creature that she thinks that she can run right on over with her little tentacles out there. There we go.
What I was wondering about the legality of it. Obviously, like, because there are laws about recording a phone conversation without consent from the party. You can't secretly record it. But then I was also like, well, this is in the middle of production where they both, and this is all on the show.
Well, California, is a two-party consent state. So both parties have to consent to being recorded. I don't think that it doesn't look like there were like professional cameras there. It looked like maybe Eddie or somebody else was recording Tamara doing that. Because
Mm.
that was a different type of footage. I could tell like the footage was different. So I don't know who was recording her, whether it was an assistant or Eddie or somebody else, but it was not on a 36 flavors production camera.
Mm.
Definitely. What I would say is most likely though, production had to go back to Shannon and say, hey, this was recorded and we have to get your permission in order to put it into the production, to put it into the show.
Okay.
So Shannon would know after the fact that this was recorded and that they want to put it into the show.
Yeah.
So I don't think that she would be blindsided because otherwise it is illegal for them to have recorded that and then to broadcast that.
Yeah.
In California. So that's what I'm going to say there. Because
Honestly,
otherwise, because she did not give consent to be recorded.
Honestly, though, I can't blame Tamara. I would, her joy there, I would just be like, oh my fucking God. Oh my fucking God. I'd be like trying to screen record, hoping it like captures the sound. Because I've had calls, butt dials before where I'm like, what am I listening to? This is the best thing ever. So,
but I agree with that. Like, I would have been listening to because it's just like being a kid or being somebody like you're trying to like put your ear to the door, listen to a fight, listen to what's going on there. Like, definitely listening. But I also, with something like that, knowing that it's being recorded and knowing that I'm going to have to answer to it, like that I'm going to be on television, I would have been on the up and up though about it later. I've been like, yo, like you butt dialed me. And then I heard you like saying these things instead of going around to everybody else and telling everybody else that you butt dialed me and everything that was said.
She kind of butt dialed the worst possible person ever in her life. Heather Dubrow would have never even shared it.
No, exactly. It would have been in the vault. It would have been in the vault.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the great thing though is that there was a little confessional piece for Heather there when Heather said, oh, basically, you dropped this lawsuit. You're saying that you don't want to be in the public eye, but then you dropped this lawsuit and then you put it in People magazine that you've dropped this lawsuit. Like, you say that you don't want to be in the spotlight, John Janssen, but everything you're doing is counterintuitive. And I literally yelled at the television, thank you, Heather. Thank you. Like I've been saying this the entire time, like his actions do not meet up with his words.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the actions of a person who does not want to be in the spotlight. They just want to be in the spotlight on their own terms and in their own way.
And like, who was it? Tamara was denying that a publicist did it. She was like, it's just when you file, it's public record. There are famous people out there, much more famous than those two, with lawsuits that just don't get picked up. Like I've like randomly searched and been like, oh my God, they're being sued over that. For it to,
you have to know. You have to know what you're looking for. Yeah,
the People magazine wasn't waiting down at the Orange County courthouse for these papers to be filed. It wasn't it wasn't Diddy's trial. So it had to be given to them. And People magazine, they got that right on here. People magazine is like the Vanity Fair, the New York Times of like Housewives. It's like the pinnacle pretty much. They are legit and they had to, that whole story, they probably got quotes or sources from John and Alexis. Alexis was crying the night before or whatever. Like, you don't know what's coming out and it's going to be
Well, I saw Alexis on Entertainment Tonight talking about that she knew that the next day that was all going to come out and everything. But she's like, and I found out on my way and I was like, that shouldn't be your problem though. That's John's problem. Why is it your problem? And why is it because you used your publicist, because you used your person? And Shannon said in her confessional that when she and Tamra were sued by Jim Bellino, that People magazine, it was in the press that they were being sued before Tamra and Shannon even received the paperwork.
Yeah.
So she was like, this is a pattern. This has happened before to me when Alexis was involved. tangentially. So she's like, so why didn't it happen? So it happened again. Like there's
Yeah. And like, fun fact, Alexis doesn't need a publicist. It kind of tells you her intentions going into this season. She was a forgotten ex-housewife from a decade ago, coming on for a little friend of role. Publicists are very expensive. A publicist kind of almost cost more than what OC is paying her in her friend of capacity. She is determined to get publicity. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's determined to get that orange.
Yeah. So I do believe Shannon with that it was handled by a publicist. It doesn't go out that quickly.
No.
It doesn't get publicized that quickly. This
Mhm.
isn't the Irvine courthouse isn't the like Southern District of New York.
Truthfully, no, it's not. It's not. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's not hardcore journalists just sitting outside in Orange County, like be like, "Ooh, what great lawsuit! What celebrity lawsuit is coming through now?" Like, yeah, they're either in SDNY or they're in Los Angeles. Like, stop it! Like, come on.
It's a nice scene, kind of wholesome. Gina with her ex. Gina with Matt.
Oh yeah, I was thinking Travis, but
right. her legal ex, Matt.
Yep.
I mean, that it wasn't much of a scene, but I was just struck because, especially me, I don't really like wholesome scenes in Housewives. There's some...
Again, why my mind was like blown. I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
It didn't seem forced. It wasn't like say if something happens like that for Shannon or for Vicky, where they're like clenched, holding back tears, being like, I'm so happy for you. No, they were all like friends. That's come a long way.
It's come a very, very long way, like especially with everything that we know. And I mean, I wrote a note like that I felt a little bad for her in the fact of like, what she was talking about, that like, she's happy for Matt and Britt and like having them move on, and that like Britt's really good and like everybody's like in a really good place, but she's kind of sad that her and Travis are kind of like moving backwards and everything. And I'd written a note. I was like, to be honest, like about her and Travis, I was like, relationships shouldn't be that hard all the time. And then this morning was watching both Gina and Emily on an Entertainment Tonight piece on YouTube. And Gina gave more context to their breakup, or I don't know if we want to call it a breakup or whatever they're going through. And because she was saying it's not really her place to talk about it too much, because basically what it boils down to is that Travis's ex is kind of making life a living hell for Travis. And by that, whatever I'm trying to say. And in that way is also making life a living hell for Gina. And it's made Gina feel very unsafe for her and her children. And she was like, I've made like such a great, like you're saying, inroads with Matt and Britt, and like making that a very safe relationship, making inroads with that. And she's like, I can't risk that for my children with Travis's ex. And I was like, oh, okay, well then I get this a little bit more now. Like, okay, like that. I still don't know if I would do it the way that she's doing it, but now it made a little bit more sense of like, you don't really want to break up with him, but like what's going on is like super, super hard. And you're doing this for the safety of your children.
Yeah.
The like emotional and mental and maybe even physical safety of your children. So that's really sad. So I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to lay off of what I think about that. So yeah.
I guess the next Katie's party, the couple's party. It's a little sad. So who was left out?
Well,
Shannon,
and
because she's single.
Gina, because she's single.
Wait, Gina wasn't there.
Gina was not there.
I was gonna be like, first I was like, well, Heather's not there. Like, well, Terry's recovering, but then I'm like, oh no, they hate each other, so she's
Yeah.
not gonna invite Heather.
Also, a real quick note, because I really love Katie's new confessional look, the light pink Versace dress. Love it. Love it. Love Versace. It's like old school 90s Versace, and I love it.
There, I need to find him. Her again. I saw his name. Her not publicist, Katie's stylist is on Twitter. And his tweets, I'm always coming across his tweets. I'll seek it out for us. We'll share it.
Please.
And instantly slide into his DMs.
Yes. Yes, because I like what he's doing. I like what he is doing. That like I immediately like clocked that dress. I was like, oh, that's Versace. I was like, yes, I'm all about this. And the color is beautiful. Oh my gosh, yes. I'm loving everything about it.
Yeah.
Also, I loved the menu that she had for the dinner. It's perfect. Perfect, like Southern menu: brisket, potato salad, mac and cheese, cornbread, or just bread, rolls, whatever.
I laughed when she described how she ordered it and then just put it on her own plates, her own china, because that is something I learned from a book, Heather McDonald's book. Years ago, I skimmed it, and she calls that a Kris Jenner. Kris Jenner orders in for a dinner party, then puts it on her own plates.
Well, I will say Katie got it halfway there. She ordered it, she put it out, but she didn't put it on her own plate. She left it in the foil trays. That house is too pretty. I think they rent that house.
It makes sense. That's a good call, because they still have a house in San Diego. You're right. That house doesn't really look lived in. And we've seen now, Emily is saying she doesn't live there. She's back in San Diego. Like, it's a whole, we kind of get the vibe that Katie landed in Orange County to go on Housewives. So it's a good point. It might be a rental. Because they're two like golf reporters, right? They can't juggle two like $4 million mortgages. It's not that kind of money. So
no. And honestly, like well, I don't know. I'm not a golfer, but I would say I think the golfing's better in San Diego County than in Orange County, to be honest with you. So it's better to be located in Orange County and then fly out from there in San Diego County then. But a golfer can like totally correct me on that, and I will totally take it because I don't golf.
I know Emily has put out there in the past week or so that Katie's living in San Diego. Katie put out a clap back on like a TikTok showing she still lives in the house in Orange County. Who knows? But I can see it being a rental.
I think it's a rental, and I think it's fine. As I've always said, I am fine with renting. I think renting is great. I think it can be economically smart, depending on where you are and what you want out of life. And also for these shows, lots of housewives are renting in order to be on these shows and in order to have the quote unquote lifestyle that Bravo viewers want to see. So I think she probably has a very nice house down in San Diego, but she can't juggle $4 million mortgages.
I did. I looked up her house in San Diego. I forgot that part. Jogging my memory, because I look up these things when I'm like stoned falling asleep.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, no, she lives in a neighborhood. Oh my God. Not La Jolla adjacent. My college roommates were from this neighborhood, and it's really nice. Like not Rancho Santa Fe, Del Mar.
Oh yeah,
Torrey Pines.
Torrey
Pines. That's
Torrey
the
Pines,
area.
because that's a golfing, like Torrey Pines golf course. Oh my gosh, like that hosts so much. Hello, yes.
Yeah, it's a house, and it's a neighborhood kind of like the one they live in Orange County. So I mean, no, it's really nice. It's not in Orange County for the show.
Yeah.
But it's like probably a 3-something. It's a nice house, like $3 million or more.
And the reason I say like that about the house in Orange County too is that it looks like staging I would see on like Selling Sunset. And it's staging that I kind of like too. And the fact that she was like, she didn't end up putting the food out on her own platters. And I kind of go, I don't think she has her own platters there. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, that's why I was like, because I would have done that. I mean, that's me. I would order it in, but then I would put it on plates. Like, even when I order food, like delivery, I end up putting it on my own plates too, just for me,
Oh,
just to feel more like an adult. Like I'd actually eating stuff.
I'm not as fancy as people might think from like Lee Radswell and stuff. I'll eat out of Tupperware. Like I seek ways to minimize dishes. It's
Mhm.
very like bachelor pad. So
Once I got a dishwasher, I was like, we're being an adult now, Stacy. You may not cook, but you will at least eat off of real dishes.
yeah.
So
My cat though does get her treats in a little silver bowl. So she
well,
gets treated better than I do. So
she deserves it.
yeah.
Absolutely. I did notice there did seem to be like a lot of coordination in the outfits between the couples, except for Katie and Matt. But because Emily and Shade were both wearing denim, like there was like
Mm,
double denim there. Uh Jen and Ryan, like he had those like teal green shoes, which kind of matched the teal green in her shirt. It was like this like pop, like when I was walking, I was like, look at that. That's like just this little pop of color that matched that like went with it. And Tamara and Eddie, I couldn't tell because like her top was like had this purple ishness to it. And I couldn't tell if his jacket, some light, it looked kind of purple, like a dark
mm.
aubergine, and other times it kind of looked navy. So I couldn't tell, but it kind of to me looked like they coordinated that in some way. So I'm just gonna say that they coordinated their outfits.
Did you cat? Well, we'll get to it later, but I just want to point out you'll see when they're sitting outside. I had to rewind. I was like, was that Eddie? Eddie is sitting there in coastal grandmother chic. It must have been a chilly night. He has an oatmeal shawl wrapped around him, like he's
Matt put
roasted
it
up.
around him.
I
Matt
didn't
put it around him. Yeah.
I didn't
There's a
catch that.
scene. It was after, or maybe Tamara was still sitting there, but it was kind of during the fight. Like Matt, you see Matt put it around him, like give him this blanket, this oatmeal shawl blanket, and
I
like
was
put it around him.
picturing like I was picturing like Diane Keaton in a rom-com set in Nantucket. He has a
You
little
put that on
glass of
Don
wine.
Gunvalson, so yes.
I had to rewind. I was like, no. And then because Peacock doesn't allow you to screenshot, I took another device. I was determined to capture that.
I
The
mean,
po-
this is the thing. I love a man who can wear a shawl, who's like, I'm
Mhm.
cold and I will take whatever you're giving me.
He looks
Like,
so cozy.
he did look cozy. And this is my thing. A man who could wear a shawl will hopefully share a shawl with me. You know what I mean? He'll be like, come here, honey. Let's wrap up
Yeah,
together. I mean, I'm not saying that I want Eddie. He's married. I'm just
yeah.
saying a man who like embraces that side will just be like,
Mhm.
come on, let's warm up. Let's cuddle up together. I'm all good. Let's do it.
Did did you catch this was another shady, I guess, production thing when
Mhm.
Matt and Ryan first sit down and Matt's like, what do you do? And this was into it was like 45
Mhm.
seconds of him just rambling, vaguely describing something like I'm in real estate development, but this and that and this. Like that for me, I talk about it a lot on the podcast when I meet people in like Beverly Hills and a red flag goes off, they're saying
Mhm.
too many things, but nothing at all.
Mhm.
I would have been like, yeah, Ponzi schemer.
Mm.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
And they
Absolutely.
edit it that way. They did it like, so it feels like it keeps stopping and starting because he goes on so long.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily need to know if Matt asked him more questions about it or if he just like kept going on and on about it. Because yeah, I doubt Matt asked him more questions about it. I bet he just kept going on. I bet Matt just gave him kind of a quizzical look, and so he's like, "Oh, I better explain more." Whereas I just be like, "No, just leave it."
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, people love to talk about themselves, and people will talk themselves into a corner when they
Yeah.
don't believe what they're saying.
hmm And it gives, maybe he had an idea that Tamara was going. I mean, according to Tamara at this point at this dinner party, the FBI visited him 6 months ago. Maybe he knows now that Tamara knows, and that's why he's nervous describing his quote real estate, because that was that nervous thing, like, who do you know here? And he's just like, that guy over there, you know.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, maybe we'll get to it, but like later on when Tamara says, like, ask him about the FBI, and Jen's like, what FBI? I was like, you're lying. Like, just the way she said that, I was just like, you're lying. Like,
Yeah.
Look, I can get that you don't want to admit it, but you're lying here. Like, both of you are, the way you guys say these things and act is like, I don't know what you're talking. What? The going up at the end? Like, what? I mean, and Emily knew. Emily knew too. Like, she knew beforehand. I was like, oh, okay, you guys, no.
Yeah.
No. So yeah. But anyway, also, but let's go back, because I had a note about that. And then, but Eddie telling Tamara to pace herself, that was notable. Especially for a woman who's been telling her quote unquote best friend that she needs to quit drinking and to pace herself, and has been shaming her for her alcohol consumption. That this woman, Tamara, is being told by her husband to pace herself, and then tells the host of the party to stop serving her.
Now, Heather, that is your spouse admonishing you on camera.
Yes, absolutely.
He even told the host that he didn't even pull Heather. He didn't even pull Tamara aside. He went to the hostess and was like, please don't serve her anymore.
Yep. After she like spilled half of her martini out on the floor, like, you know, I hate martini glasses, but whatevs. I mean, I did make a note that, like, oh, well, we're finally seeing Tamara's storyline, like her storyline, not her stirring the pot. We're finally seeing, like, because like somebody screenshot Eddie's look, this look of like Eddie up against a wall staring at Tamara as she's like taking a sip of just like, oh, you know, this is the storyline. I mean, and Ryan brings it up later, like that Ryan insinuates, you know, that their marriage is just sham and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, but I just do think, like, we don't talk about your marriage. We don't talk about your life. You're willing to bring up everybody else's, Tamara. Said this before, like, you make a storyline out of everybody else's lives except for your own. And if anybody talks about, and this night was perfect, anybody talks about your family or your life or anything like that, you shut them down. It's like, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Like, you can dish it out, but you cannot take it.
Oh, that was a big point I made in the notes. It's at this dinner party. We're jumping around the dinner party a little, but it's all one scene at the end. So when the confrontation finally happens and Tamara and Eddie are confronting Ryan about what he said, and what does it go? She's like, you talked about my husband, or you talked about this and that, or me as a mom. Can't talk about her as a mom. He said, I'm not in a place. I'm not. But anyways, he goes, and you talked about me and my relationship. And she goes, but I told the truth. It was in the same tone as, that's my opinion. When Tamra talks, she's allowed to. No one else can talk about her. It was the same exact tone as, that's my opinion, from one of the early reunions.
Yep. Absolutely. And it just, she's not growing. She's not growing at all. Like, this isn't like an evolving Tamara. It's like, oh, girl, like, grow the fuck up. Grow up. And the thing is like, she's like, you bring my family into this. You talk about my son and his dick pic. And it's like, your son was an adult. You put him on the show and he was an adult. This isn't like we're talking about Sydney here or Sophia when they were children. He's not doing that. He's talking about your grown-ass son who sent a dick pic, and then that dick pic got out. So, and then he's basically just saying, you need to worry about your own Ryan. And we've said it on here before, like, her own Ryan has a lot of stuff he needs to worry about. And so, yeah, like, chill the fuck out. Like, you, like, I just, and like we said earlier, like, she tells everybody else about the butt dial that she heard from Shannon, but she's not telling Shannon. She'll tell everybody else's business and what's going on with everybody else, but she's not going to tell anybody what's going on with her unless it behooves her and makes her look sympathetic. Like, oh, my daughter won't talk to me. Boo-hoo.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I caught her a few times, you know, the little bitch comment, which is whatever. It's the way she was saying it, projecting to make sure he could hear it over, and she was trying to create a moment. And like you were saying earlier, like she's stirs the pot, and that it's not even like nuanced now or subtle. It's getting a little Lisa Rinna-ish, where it's just she's producing all these scenes, everyone else's storylines. And I saw the way she kept saying little bitch and trying to like project, make sure Ryan heard it. I think my theory is she wanted a fist fight between Ryan and Eddie.
And Eddie's not going to do that, and Ryan's not going to do that. Right. I'm sorry. They're both very strong, good-looking, manly men, but they are not fighters. Like, they're not. They're like we're not going to mess up the moneymaker here. Like, they're not these like like gorilla men.
I think she was trying to give us a scene out of New Jersey, like a Joe Gorga, Joe Giudice. Like, it was clear she went into there trying to get a fight going between Eddie and Ryan. That's my theory.
Oh, 100%.
Really spice things up.
And I wrote down, I go, does Eddie really want to hash it out? Like, did he really want to like do any of this stuff? Like, I just don't think he did. Because especially like when he's looking away as Tamara's like saying this, like, it was very passive aggressive. Like, I just don't think he wanted to talk about it, period. Whether it was like with Ryan or with Tamara or with Jen or anything like that. I feel like he just didn't. But it was, I mean, it was something that you said jogged my memory. And I remembered it. Tamara also is acting like there aren't receipts that can be put up. Because when she was saying about, you know, getting all dramatic about what Ryan said on this podcast, then production put up the sound from those podcasts of what she actually said. And it wasn't what she is saying that he said. And I'm just like, unless there were more podcasts, but that's the thing is that on social media, she's now claiming that podcast deleted out what he had said. And they're like, nope, we didn't delete anything. That has been up. That has not been changed since we originally published it. You're crazy. Like, you just hear what you want to hear, or you're trying to make something what you want to make of it. Yeah. Look, she can be pissed off, and she could hear what she wants to hear, and Eddie can hear what he wants to hear by like saying, people came up to me and said bad things about Tamara and Eddie. They can take that however they want to, but he didn't say anything bad about her family or anything like that, or what's going on in their marriage. Actually, like he said, I can't say anything about that because I'm not in it.
Right. So, and can you imagine? Okay, first of all, let's not forget with her logic that it's his fault. Being on a podcast where someone else says something, that is a position she was in with Jim Bellino. And she has her own podcast now. She knows how podcasts work, and playing dumb, like you're in the vicinity of someone saying something, it's your fault. She was reaching there.
And look, and she tries to play dumb all the time when it comes to technology and social media and podcasts. She did it earlier, like this year. She's like, I don't read social media. I'm not on social media. Excuse me, girlfriend. You have commented more. You've commented more than once on PCP posts, and we're not even that popular. That means you are looking for us. You are looking for comments about Tamra Judge. You are looking for hashtags.
The hashtag. Yeah, she's searching the hashtag.
You're
She's
trying to make yourself relevant, and guess what, honey? We don't do interviews like that, so we ain't engaging. Like, you can leave all the comments you want to on our shit, fine, but like
yeah.
we know, but it just shows how thirsty you are.
Yeah. She even found old posts of ours recently. I was
Yep.
like, what is she just like sitting? Maybe it was during her facelift recovery. I was like, you
I
are
think it was.
scrolling back through PCP. That was not. She
Yeah.
went through.
And this is the thing. I don't
She
mind a
was looking.
housewife or a celebrity that's like is kind of like honest about that thirstiness and is like, yeah, like I know about social media and I do this stuff and da da. But when she tries to play dumb all the time. It's that whole thing of like what Bethany what Bethany says that you can't play smart and stupid at the same time. And that's what Tamara's always trying to do. She's trying to play smart and stupid
Yeah.
at the same time. And she's not. She's not. She's savvy. We don't call her one of the best housewives villains of all time.
Diabolical.
Yeah, for nothing. Like, embrace it and take it. Stop trying to be like everything to everyone or trying to pretend that you are both naughty and nice. You're just naughty.
Her performance has always been this way, but especially this season, it reads as a housewife who turns to the comments to see which direction she should go next.
And that never
That's
works
what
out.
housewives who overproduce often do.
It just doesn't
You can
work.
tell, like they're in the comments, like, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, one last thing I thought, because we got a night. Well, it was kind of sad earlier, where Shannon is at home alone and she's cuddling with Archie, and it's like Archie's all she has. And
But of course they start with her rinsing her sinuses out, which is so gross. We don't need to see that.
she always
least-
has some medical.
At least she wasn't giving
issues.
herself a colonic.
Yeah. I mean, there's always something. It really gave me Sonia. You know, I've said that, like,
Yes.
sad Sonia when she's alone in the townhouse, and it's just like, I'll make. Shannon even is like, I've just been hit with so much, but I know I'll make it through. It reminds me of, but I see a lot of people online, rightfully so, is adorable, loving how Archie watches and reacts to her. But I was laughing at this dinner party because when they kept flashing to Shane, I was laughing. He is just watching. He is like a confused puppy that Emily brought to the party. Even when the other house husbands are going at it, he's just like quiet.
I will say this was an episode that were like Shane, but also Emily too. They both were kind of like sitting there with their popcorn, like because when Eddie and Ryan started going at it, Emily had like I don't remember if she said something or it was just a look of like, let's watch this. Of like, okay,
Yeah.
let's do this. When it was like, let's talk. I think Tamara said, let's talk about something, and it was like the elephant in the room. It was like what? And I think Emily said, Ryan and Eddie. And then it was like Gabe on. She was like, yes, let's talk about this. And I want to watch this. It's not about me this time. Popcorn, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was like, I am Emily in this. I want to see this. Like, I don't want to get in the middle of it, but I do want to watch it. So
Yeah.
But then it ended up being mostly Tamara and Ryan fighting, you know? I was like,
and then that was weird how it was basically Tamara and Ryan fighting, then Eddie and Jen like pleading with each other to kind of like it was odd.
I mean, I do find it interesting that Eddie said to Jen, am I her keeper, meaning Tamara's? And then a few minutes later, when Tamara started to bring up the FBI thing, he literally grabs her face and was like, stop it. And like does it twice. Cause it's like bringing up the FBI was a bridge too far. And he was like, you can't do that. And like, but at the same time, when she storms out, he just stays there. He's just like, I don't have the energy to do this.
Like, he's over it.
He's tired. The man is tired.
We should mention regarding those allegations and everything Tamara said today that news broke this morning. We're here on Saturday recording that I guess Ryan served Tamara with papers about what she said about him. So
I'm assuming it's like
we're in for like
defamation and stuff, or
slander. Using the same attorney Jim Bellino used to sue her.
I mean, that's diabolical, and I'm kind of here for that. Like, because I think Shannon learned something from that lawsuit from Jim, because you can see it when she's talking about John. She's like she won't say certain things, but Shannon will. But I mean, Tamara will. Like, so yeah. Anyway, I think I'm interested to see next week's.
The reunion hasn't filmed yet. We've been submitting some questions. You know, Andy's been asking on Twitter. I don't think he'll read any of mine. But so, I mean, Ryan timed this to coincide with the episode. Now it will be on the reunion. This reunion, I'm excited. Oh, anything else?
Nope, I think that's it for today.
Well, I mean, we have so many lawsuits to still sort out, but in the meantime, eventually we'll probably, fingers crossed we won't, knock on wood, but we could use a little legal defense here at PCP. And the best way to help us save up for that would be, it won't cost you a dime. Please, just all you have to do is click subscribe, rate, review, and follow, and share with your friends. We are on Instagram and TikTok at Pretty Corrupt Podcast, Twitter at Pretty Corrupt One, and also on YouTube now.
We are so close to those 500 subscribers that I want by Halloween. So close. So go ahead. And this Friday, we have another PCP Bravo Bitch Fest astrology episode. We're doing Bethany Frankel, so make sure you catch that. Make sure you are subscribed, so it just pops up. You got those notifications on, so it pops up and you can see it and you can watch it and you can love it every day.
Yeah. On that note,